So let me explain how this happened. So my interview with Lou is over, and I wasn't the only guy there.
Your
So I
interview
go
with
back.
Lou for the show Unidentified for people who haven't seen it.
That's right. And so I go back out to this thing called the green room, and I'm hanging out. It's catered. I'm hanging out, and I asked the producer who came in and thanked me. I said, "Hey, before the shuttle takes me back, or the driver takes me back to the hotel, can you ask Lou if I can get a few minutes with him alone?" And so he did, and we did. And in about an hour's time, Lou and I go back into this. It's like a pantry area at A&E Studios, and we go even further back inside there, where there's a printer and a copier bay. Um, Really nice facility, right? So we're back there alone. The door is closed, and I said to him, "So, we're both cleared, right? We're not in a skiff. We both know that." He set the ground rules. I recognize the ground rules, but I said, what did I really see?" I said, "Because I have some ideas." So he went over to the printer, and he opens up the printer, the bay where you put the paper in the big, huge printer machine. He pulls out 2 or 3 sheets. He takes a ballpoint pen, and he asked me a question. So if you can see the screen, he asked me, before he drew anything, he said, "What is the most commonly cited or reported type of UFO over the decades or the millennia, whatever?" And I said, "Well, it's a disc or a flying saucer." So he drew this disc. And then he said, "So imagine, or supposedly," he used words interchangeably, imagine and supposedly. He said, "So based on all the reports over the decades, these discs that are spotted, they emit some sort of electromagnetic field or electromagnetic like field. Okay. Uh, this field causes the ambient air around the vehicle. So I'm calling the disc a vehicle. It ionizes the air in much the same way as the gas inside of a fluorescent light bulb is ionized and glows whenever you flip the switch on and turn the light on. Okay. It excites the molecules, the oxygen, the nitrogen, the carbon, all the molecules in the air surrounding that flying saucer or that disc, and it makes it glow. And depending on the power level of the engine, if it's at idle versus medium or full power, it makes the air glow a different color. Now, something else he explained, and Paul Hill explains as well, is the air glows according to the cleanness, the purity of the air. So in a polluted environment, around, say, a steel mill or some other more polluted or humid environment, the air is going to look different because there are other components in the surrounding air that are being energized by this electromagnetic field, this very high energy field surrounding this disk. Okay. Okay. So I saw one of these. I saw exactly this. I saw a black equilateral triangle, and this is about as close as I could make it. And I saw 3 really bright dots that I took to be lights. But they're not lights, according to Lou. They are each something using a propulsion system like this, and they are glowing. It's the air around the vehicle that's glowing, and it is these 3 particular power plants, one in each corner, that give the vehicle its cancels out its mass. In other words, makes it sort of gives it its anti-gravity effect or whatever. But that's all they do. They each have a field that they emit, just like the disk has a field when it's powered up. And so these fields overlap like a Venn diagram. And so they encompass the entire vehicle. They make it weightless. But then there's another engine or power plant or whatever in the center, and this is the one that makes it go up, down, left, right, whatever. These 3 give it weightlessness. This engine is how they get from point A to point B. That's kind of what he explained. So then I said, well, what about these cigar-shaped things that people saw, or that torpedo pencil-shaped thing that Paul Hill and his colleagues saw from NASA Langley back in Norfolk decades ago? So he said, well, the cigar-shaped ones, he said, imagine, he didn't say they did, he said, imagine that there's the same similar sort of propulsion source as placed here in this is, again, I made this from his drawing, and the fields that give it its weightlessness, they overlap like a Venn diagram, right? But then they would also, either they are co-producing forward power to go forward, backwards, up, down, left, right, or there maybe is another engine or what have you, power plant, reactor, whatever it is, that gives it its go. And these 2 things give it its weightlessness. So that's how he answered my question about what I saw.